So there we have a quick video explaining the light, the shadow, the terminator line, and calculating exactly the spot on the moon that image was taken from. All wonderful, all quite accurate as far as the geometry goes. So as I said in my intro, I'm going to take you through some official images, and you can see just what's been produced over the years, and then we'll discuss them as we go through. The image that you can see there was taken from the command module. I think it was Apollo 12 as it was coming into land, and caught a beautiful shot of the Earth. And the reason I've included such a close-up of the lander, even though it makes it look like it's been made out of tin foil, black paper mache and bits you would find in your workshop and in your kitchen. But the reason I've included this one is because it shows the Earth just in the top right hand corner there, and you can see that little blue line of atmosphere around it. So there you go, another one with just Earth into the frame. Great shot though. And just to be completely fair, before anybody screws looking for images that back up my case, this was created a long time ago by moon landing conspiracy theorists, and I don't agree with it. Okay, this is a photoshopped image and does nothing apart from muddy the waters in the search for truth. So let's get rid of that one. And probably the most famous Earthrise picture of all, from I think Apollo 11, looking out across the surface of the moon at the, as Carl Sagan put it, the small blue dot. So now I want to cover my side of the observations, as I would do from the observation deck, and bring your attention to that wonderful footage that the Japanese took of Earthrise from the moon with this short video clip. I think it's only about 60 seconds anyway, but I'm going to stop the clip here and there so you can maybe ponder the same sort of observations that I am. So let's have a look at the Japanese footage from the moon. I'm sorry to stop it so quick in the video, but are you kidding me? Unless all my books are wrong at school, we've got a moon there that's larger than the Earth. Now you might think, oh well, it's only a graphic, you know, it's just to explain things. But this is not the first time this sort of graphic has been put out to the public. And remember, this video's had millions of hits on YouTube, so people looking at this, not as wise as you, might get the impression that the Earth is a lot smaller than it is. And if you think I'm being paranoid, just take a look at this quick video from NASA Goddard Space Flight promotion video.
In the second perspective, we're much closer to the moon, using a wide-angle lens that makes the distant Earth seem smaller. With our view fixed on the moon, the rest of the solar system seems to dance and whirl around us. Before the space age, no one knew what was on the other side of the moon. Since 2009, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has been making some of the most detailed global maps of the moon's surface, making it much easier for everyone to see what it's like on the other side.
Let's switch back to the Japanese video now that we've seen NASA seems to think that the moon is incredibly large compared to Earth. And I know that there were conditions in terms of wide angle lenses, etc., but to give that distinct impression that it's the size of a marble up against the size of the moon, and the Japanese do it exactly the same, I can't help but wonder this idea of dumbing down, people might actually start to believe it. So let's take another look at the Japanese version of Earthrise.
The Kaguya moves toward the South Pole on the far side of the moon. The blue Earth has appeared from the horizon. This is the Earthrise, as captured by the telephoto camera. The sun is located right behind the Kaguya. The sun's light is projected directly onto the Earth, which appears round like a full moon. In this footage, the Earth's southern hemisphere appears on top. This is a spectacular view of the beautiful planet we call home.
You can see there two beautiful Earth rises, one a still from Apollo 11 and the other one from the Japanese, with some wonderful music and narration. And now I'm going to show you one final clip, again from NASA, I think one of the most recent ones, of probably the most accurate depiction of what you've been seeing so far. And remember, those animations give us this distinct impression the Earth's smaller than the moon. And even these images that you see here are the Earthrise images, so much smaller than the moon. But we tend to forget that the Earth is 4 times the size of the moon. So surely it should appear 4 times the size. You can see by those still shots there, NASA has linked them all together to create this wonderful collage of the moon transiting the Earth. But can you imagine yourself standing on a small point on that moon, facing Earth and taking this? And for those of you who are going to shout, but the moon's on an elliptical orbit, yes, I am aware of that. So let me just read you something from an astronomy site. The average distance the moon is from the Earth is 237,700 miles, but the number does fluctuate. Was to 225,558 miles, a difference of approximately 26,000 miles. And obviously that's not much on a cosmic scale, but that's still slightly more than the circumference of the Earth. And for those of you who want to go into details, the furthest point the moon is from the Earth is called the moon's apogee, and the nearest point is called the perigee. But let's just go back to this difference between the two. Okay, 26,718 miles. Now I can appreciate that's quite a chunk of distance. So even if we took away one full Earth size less than the moon, remember the moon's 4 times smaller than the Earth, we would still be left with a planetary body 3 times the size of the moon, even at its furthest point. So given those numbers and the diameter, do you remember what I said about the geometry right at the beginning of this? The geometry is correct. I don't have a problem with that. But again, like my previous video you may have seen, and if not, why haven't you? On the canals. Okay, the geometry and the maths is perfect. It's how they're used. So even taking into account the apogee and the perigee, you are not going to get the Earth shrinking to that size if you're taking a photograph from the surface of the moon. I don't care what camera you're using or what lens it is. It's going to be 4 times, it's going to appear in the sky like a huge body crashing into a planet. I mean, it's going to fill the sky when it's at its closest point. And when it's at its furthest point, it still should be 3 times larger than the moon, even taking into consideration the elliptical orbit. Which, as far as I'm concerned, makes the images that you're currently looking at in terms of Earthrise a little bit suspect, to say the least. You can't have it both ways. You've got NASA photographs of the moon transited in front of the Earth, and you can see the scale of the Earth to the moon. And then you've got NASA's same photographs from Apollo 11, Earthrise, and the Earth is a dot in the distance. I'm sorry, I call bullshit again, NASA, because the snake tongue logo goes far and wide, and this is just, well, I'll be honest, it's just taking the piss. And please stop doing animations showing that the Earth is smaller than the moon. Anyone would try and think that you were trying to brainwash the next generation. Not that you would do such a thing. And the fact that the space program is connected globally, so they're all coming up with the same information, they're all backing each other up to make it look like it's independent. I mean, for God's sake, the Japanese Earthrise. No, it's not the Japanese Earthrise, it's the NASA Earthrise, and Japan's space program is a subsidiary of it. Anyway, sorry, I was beginning to rant. My apologies. So with all of the conspiracy theories of did they or did they not land on the moon, where's the dust, where's the jet, dust blown up by the lander, all of this sorts of stuff, I just want to know how the hell do you expect people to believe that that blue dot from the moon is our planet when it's so huge compared to the moon, and yet you produce photographs at a later date to show basically the truer scale? And believe me, I'm still questioning whether those photographs are genuine, but that's just another story. The point being is I'm using your own scales.